Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Relief Podcast. My guest today, Frank Sell. He sells a product, get shit done. It's coffee. It's not just regular coffee. I think it's some of the most outstanding coffee I've ever had in my life. And I think Starbucks, as I said that day in my post, is going to lose a lot of money because this product is so good. So, Frank, welcome to the show.
Hey, Demetri, it's my honor to be here.
Tell me, tell me more about the origin story of Get Shit Done and how you fell in love with coffee.
Um, really, it starts about 25 years ago with me starting my first business. Like most of us that grew up back in the 1900s, our parents told us to get good grades, get an education, or pick a trade. So I picked a trade. I learned how to weld, and so from the age of 18 years old, I was a welder for about 10 years. And the last job that I started when I was still 18. That was Valentine's Day, 1994. And when I started that job, they had a 30-year retirement program. And so I had ambitions of retiring at 48 years old with the dream that I had been sold of the benefits, the retirement, the pension, all that good stuff. And then somewhere along the way, the uh, the company got sold, and the first one of the first things they did was change the benefits to where you had to work till you're at least 55. And it was at that point when kind of like my rose colored glasses of that dream that I'd been sold was I realized that's not going to happen. What any healthy retired 50-year-old welders, and so I realized I need to do something about it. So I bought $100 VHS tape to learn a new trade. I learned how to fix hail damage on cars. I live in central Kansas, so it storms pretty much every year. I did that and have been successful at that for the last 21 years. But along the way, I realized that I had not, my mindset wasn't quite what it needed to be. I was focused on income up to that point and not the style of income. I didn't think about cash flow or profits. So I hadn't made enough investments. So I started a Facebook page called Home of the Hustle in 2017, where I interview people kind of like what Demetri's doing here. I didn't know how to grow a brand. I didn't know how to do e-commerce, selling stuff online, marketing per se in this new fashion. So I just interviewed people that did know and had results. So along the way, we built up an audience. We built up a network of people that are really talented, kind of like the people that make the great tasting coffee that you drink. Um, and so I was at a networking event in Wichita, Kansas. At the time, I had another brand. It's called Baby Beard Club. So if you're listening to this, I have about a foot long red beard. Um, and I met some guys that own the coffee company. They're a contract canning or co-packer over in Wichita. We become friends, and so that's what one of my sayings all the time is: show up, find friends, we'll do cool shit, and get shit done. It's just kind of looking back on my life and how a lot of things have played out. So they liked my beard oil. I liked their coffee, and so I was buying coffee from them just for my personal use. And one of my beard oils was called Get Shit Done because it had essential oils to help you focus and concentrate. Um, and so that was kind of my spin on beard oil. Nobody markets the therapeutic effect of essential oils. So we decided to market that. And I had some stickers made up. And so I had some stickers like this sitting on my desk, and I had some bags of coffee that looked just like this. And I put a sticker on a bag of coffee and posted on Facebook. And because I had this entrepreneur audience built up, everybody asked me, is that really Get Shit Done coffee? How do I buy it? And at the time, I didn't have homeofthehustle.com built yet. I hadn't figured out a way to really monetize the Facebook page. And that was kind of the impetus of all of it, that springboarded to what we're doing now.
It's quite the journey, and I think one thing about coffee is that it's bold and smooth, right? Just like the flavors of maybe you know when you think about how you put together coffee that grows on a mass scale, like the way you're growing your company, it's got to be something that's not ubiquitous, but kind of holds a good standard. And one thing I really appreciate about your product is I can pronounce the ingredients.
Yes, yes, that's a big deal. I I had never really drank canned coffee until we came out with our canned coffee. And I tried a few of the brands, and like you're saying, I had to look at the ingredients, and uh, I mean, it's not just bragging. I don't think anything can touch the flavor um, that we have, just the smoothness and the simplicity of it.
No, certainly. And for people who go to like these places, gas stations for
Hmm.
coffee, right? And you're on the go and you don't know what you're going to get.
Hmm. Yeah,
You just know it's caffeinated, and
yeah,
maybe the creamer's fresh, and maybe the sugar's real, and somehow you put it together and it helps you stay on the road. But here the intention is get your work done, right? Get your
yeah,
task done, right? So you're tying coffee to its kind of more pure essence of energize yourself and get going.
yeah.
And
Well, go ahead.
tell me more about the inspirational aspects of what that means to you and the people who buy your product.
So, like, both of us, we connected through Arate, a business coaching um, membership deal, and it's led by Andy Frisella and Ed Milet. And so, what I like about that is, they use their business and their platform to present a message and their principles. And it's the same thing here. So what I've found out is that, me, Frank, I'm selling permission to get shit done. I'm selling inspiration. The permission that, hey, look at me. I bought $100 VHS tape 25 years ago, some used tools, taught myself the trade. I quit my job and just started hustling. Back then, we had to open the yellow pages to go find business. And, so I just try to take all those principles that I learned and bring them out to the marketplace to inspire people through a commodity of really awesome coffee. That's why there's a different inspirational quotes on the can, like on the front of the can that you're holding there. It's, it says, beat the streets so damn hard, they send you a bill for the potholes. That was just a conversation. Somebody asked me how I got started in business. And that's just the way I explain stuff. It's like, I don't know, man. I just beat the damn street. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have anything. I said, I need to go make money. Who do I need to call? Who do I need to go show up on their doorstep?
That's right. The way I think is I walk the streets until there's holes in my shoes, and it usually happens.
Yeah.
You can't stop moving forward, right? That no is okay, not here. The next, moving on. How do you handle rejection in business when you go to a new retailer or a distributor and they're like, nah, we don't want your product.
I just don't take it personally. You know, I take a no a lot of times as not right now, because the people that are saying no a lot of times, as in sales, that's their first objection. So I say, well, other than that, what do you think? Well, is it okay if I come back in a month? So with no's, and I have a story. Like, when I was building my hail repair business, my original business, I would go around every 2 or 3 weeks, a month, visit these body shops. Hey, I'm Frank Sell. I started this business fixing hail damage. Can I help you guys out? Come back a month later. Hey, I'm Frank. I started this business. Can I help you out? So one day, the body shop owner, he's kind of known for being, a difficult guy. Um, he just said, no, man, and don't come back. So I said, okay, no problem. Yeah, I just took it professionally. I didn't get mad about it. Um, well, turn around a year later, he retired, sold the business to his kids, and we had a major hailstorm in town. And they have, in the hail repair, it's called paintless dent repair. It's a very specialized trade, and majority of body shops subcontract guys like myself that are experts in it to come do the repairs, because you have to stay on it all the time to be efficient, to be able to do the repairs. And so the guy they had in house that did it part time, he wasn't able to handle the repairs. And so the new owners, which was the original owners' kids, they came to me and said, "Hey, our guy started on this job. He can't finish it. Would you finish it for us?" I said, "No problem." I didn't take it personally. Didn't have an attitude about it. I said, "No problem. Bring it on down." And that was probably, man, like 18, 19 years ago. And I know we've done multiple $1 million of business with them, and it's just because, yeah, I didn't take it personally. It's just it's a business.
Right, and you look for the long road instead of the the short transaction, because you want to stay on the shelf, right? And
Yeah.
a lot of retailers, they have limited shelf space. How do you kind of push your product on the shelf, or say, hey, try us out?
So far, we haven't done a lot of retail, and part of the process in doing this, I've never done a CPG, which is a consumer product good, stuff like your coffee or candy or potato chips, whatever. So one of the things I learned early on was that we don't do enough volume to have the margins to have distributors plus retailers plus ourselves. So that's where I've recently invested in the online marketing part of it. So it's a it's a it's a process they called customer funded growth. So basically, I invest. My wife and I are the only investors in the company, and our customers are the only investors. So everything that the customers purchase, we don't take a wage, an income, a profit. Everything goes right back into it because I have my main career, my main business. Um, and so when it comes to retailers and positioning, it's kind of a warm market around here because it's people that I know. We just recently got positioned. I had a headhunter reach out to me about some stores in New York City, which is pretty awesome, because if like I guess politically aligned, we're not necessarily central. We're more right, conservative leaning. Right on the can it says "Make America Grind Again," so you kind of put that together. Where that comes from. Uh, so one of the things that helps us is just the branding, and that's what I've noticed from selling this in person, that the brand sells a can and the taste sells a case. So the brand puts it out there and it just catches people's eye amongst all the other stuff on the shelf. It's just in your face.
Yeah, it's in your face, but it's not annoying, right? And I
Yeah,
think, like, when you talk about some of these energy drinks, they're bordering obnoxious, right?
yeah,
It's like electric, and the logo is kind of taken out of a comic book. Where
right,
you look at the practical aspects of it, right? I mean, we're having coffee now, right? And I
yeah.
mean, how many coffees do you have a day, typically?
All of them.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't keep track.
you know, because some people say, "Well, have one 1 hour after you wake up, and then it's good for your health, and
Uh huh.
stop drinking after 8." But I'm like, I went to Greece twice last year. Like, we were
Uh huh.
having coffee 1 in the morning. It didn't matter.
Yeah. So I start out we have our new tumblers, yeah, like a 40-ounce tumbler. So I start off with that, and then I might have a can in the afternoon for a pick me up.
No, it's definitely it is the appreciation for a good cup of coffee goes a long way, right?
Yeah.
And it also teaches you the importance of slowing down to savor it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a way to bring people together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's something that it crosses so many cultures, and like I said, you're crossing through the heartland of America, right? And
Yeah.
I've driven across Kansas. When I drove across Kansas, it was a few years ago, and I googled things to do in Kansas, and all that came through was a salt mine.
Yeah. That's where I live.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, I'll
We
come back.
have the salt mine. We have the world's largest ball of twine, the world's largest hand dug well, a space museum. Um, so yeah,
The things you learn when you drive across, the beautiful country, and knowing that you have something reliable in your vehicle or your truck, that's can fuel you up when it's 3 in the morning. You need to wake up.
Hmm.
This definitely needs to be in everyone's go bag to help you go further. Tell me more about you know the kind like high profile type people, because I understand, and I've seen that your product has been featured in some fights. Talk more about some of the high profile people who've been drinking your product.
Yeah, so that came through VaynerMedia, Gary Vaynerchuk's media company. They saw our Instagram profile, and they represent some fighters. And the fighter that you're talking about, I reckon is probably Eddie Alvarez. So they gave me a few different fighters that we could probably potentially sponsor or align with. And when they were telling me about Eddie Alvarez, they told me he'd been to Mar-a-Lago. He was a Trump fan, and just our value systems align, and so it just made it really easy. And also, when your values align, people want to go above and beyond to help you out, with your product and stuff. And so that there was a few reasons why we did it that way. It was rather expensive to do that, but I also knew that would put us uh, as like the headline event for the bare knuckle fighting championship, which is an up and coming championship. It's gaining a lot of steam, has a lot of attention, um, and so that opened the door for us to connect with other champions within that championship. So we have the heavyweight Lorenzo Hunt. He's coming up for a title fight. And he holds two belts already, and he's going for his third weight division. And then the welterweight champion Kai Stewart. Um, just reach out to folks. Say, hey man, you like coffee? Do you like America? You want some coffee, and just kind of start the relationship. And that's what I've learned from business over the last 20 some years is that business built on relationship, it goes a lot longer, and it's a lot stronger than a business just built on profit, because as soon as somebody can offer a better profit, then you're out the door. But if it's a relationship, it goes a lot further.
Oh no, it definitely. When I again, just like going back to coffee, like my the first time I fell in love with coffee was in diners.
Hmm.
And a lot of the diners in the Philadelphia area are owned by Greek immigrants, and they would serve Lacus coffee,
Okay.
LACAS. That was a Greek family for
Hmm.
generations. So now the founder's gone, but the grandkids run the company. So as
Hmm.
long as they maintain those relationships that were started back then, and the culture, then the product continues strong, right? Because a lot of times people, and you see it with a lot of different brand names in beverage category, they come out really strong and then they fizzle out.
Yeah.
So, how do you keep your brand fresh? Because it definitely, like I said, these words are bold, and the product is bold, but it's the marketing. How do you maintain strong marketing that's, like I said, in your face and consistent?
Probably a couple things. Number one, I live it, and so I'm not faking it. The results are there. When we post about it, when we talk about it, Um, I live it every day. I still, like I said, make the majority of my income in my traditional trade. And the other thing is that I've read a few books along that line. Um, it's one of them is like ramping your brand, and it talks about the explosion and then followed by the implosion because you don't have the infrastructure and the network there. So I've been very very intentional on the slow growth and the process. I took about 3 years selling the product in person, to learn the product. That's why when you're holding the can in your hand, that's why everything is where it's at. In the beginning, it didn't have Coffee Co. on it because I noticed people would pick it up and they look at it and go, "What is it?" So okay, somebody that I'm not standing in front of needs to pick this up and know what it is. And so I have to think like a customer that's never seen our product, never heard of us, as I'm growing this brand. So we've had a few different revisions on the label, so that way you can look at it. It says the Coffee Co. and it's like they're reading a book. And right below that, it's to make America grind again. They fall in love with the branding aspect of it, and then they see, oh, it's a nitro cold brew sweet cream latte. That sounds tasty. So it's been refining that over the last few years. But then also, like I said, just aligning myself with people that fit our purpose and our mission. So it's not just myself, it's the user generated content of people that are paying customers sharing our product, and along with people that, we send some product for promotion or different things. So it's just living it.
And I was, and then, and you were gracious enough to send me a case, and I wasn't having the best day that day, and I opened this box. I'm like, all right, time to get shit done. And this
Right.
this is literally the last can, so I had to like have some self control and not drink it, but
Yeah.
like to have it here on the show. And to me, it's just right. Like, when when people order coffee in Greece, they'll say, "I want it either plain, which would be like black,
Hmm.
uh, metrio, which would be like middle, little bit of sugar, and or sweet." Now,
Okay.
most of the products on our shelves in America are sweet,
Hmm.
right? Like this product, other companies might have a product that could be 200 plus calories, right? And yours
Uh-huh.
is just at 100,
Hmm.
right? And it doesn't have that corn syrup stuff, which
Correct.
it's just bad and it causes all kinds of illness.
Uh-huh.
And if I look at this, I'm like, you know what? That's something that's just right. Moderation in all things. Because
Right.
sometimes, like, I love black coffee, but sometimes it's bitter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this, like, you know what? Just right. It's smooth. It's not dessert. It's not gonna give you diabetes, like in a balanced diet, right?
Uh-huh.
Because if you go through let's say the Starbucks drive through, and again, politically, they have gone the wrong way the last few years, right?
Right.
And they started with great intentions too, modeling the Italian cafes in Italy, which are
Hmm.
beautiful, right? And worth replicating, but not for the values. When my father came here, he worked hard, right?
Hmm.
He worked at a factory fixing compressors and motors, and then he built his business as an electrician and serviced a lot of diners, right? So there's a lot of coffee, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes drinking more coffee than water.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, did you drink water today? No, but I had like 10 coffees. I'm like, okay,
There's water in my coffee.
yeah,
Yeah.
more or less, right? But it's the fuel of success, right? And sometimes if you see like stories like Glenn Ross,
Hmm.
and they'll say, "Coffee's for closers. Put that coffee down." Right? They're
Right.
taking the seriousness of, "Hey, don't slow down and just drink coffee. You got to earn that coffee."
Right.
And a working man who wakes up at the crack of dawn or before to put his working clothes on and wants to have a moment to think in the morning and enjoy his coffee, sometimes with a cigarette. I don't recommend it.
Uh-huh.
Um, but then gets out there and puts in an honest day's work, right? And they deserve to drink a good product, right?
Right.
And making America grinding again, to me, when I read that, obviously I ties to Trump's making America great again,
Hmm.
but grinding again is not just, to me, like, I think of the freshness of the product. I think of what it took to put this together, and then it inspires you to move, right? To get off your butt, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
stay in motion, right? Because if you pay attention to the headlines, your emotions will be low, right? And low
Hmm.
energy. And
Hmm.
you charge it up with the right products, the right fuels, and the right mindset behind it, right?
Hmm.
That you stand for those values. And people will be even more inspired to drink your product because they know who they're supporting, right?
Right.
That there's no agenda. Your agenda is freedom. Your agenda is go get work done. And
Yeah.
and and don't I don't want to drink my coffee and be told that you know my beliefs are wrong,
Right.
right? So I really like this because it's kind of contrast serves us well, right?
Oh yeah.
And it's time for people to vote um, their money with their values, like spend
Yeah. Uh-huh.
lined up with your values. Because if we, like I say, I go to church, I'm a believer. I imagine you're a believer too.
Yeah. That's why every can has Galatians 5:1 on it.
Did I miss that?
Yep.
So you have something in common with the In and Out people. You ever go to In and Out Burger?
We don't have those in Kansas.
I know. You ever go out west?
Um, Not for a long time. Maybe in Texas they might have them.
They do. So just to catch you up, In-N-Out Burger on because it's a
Uh-huh.
family-run Christian company.
Uh-huh.
At the bottom of all their products, they'll have scripture, like a
Okay.
citation from scripture, and
Uh-huh.
then somebody might look it up later, and or at least reflect on that moment, and be more mindful of how they behave that day,
Right. Right.
or reflect on things that we should be grateful for. And I really like that. Now again, I missed that detail.
Yeah. So
Life-
Galatians 5:1 is for freedom that Christ set you free. Therefore, do not let yourself be burdened again by yoke of slavery.
Mm. Freedom means a lot.
Yeah.
And in a time when people aren't allowed to express themselves, sometimes the last few years have had medical freedom issues,
Mm-hmm.
the choice of what to put in your arm, what to put on your face.
Thought freedom.
Um,
I mean,
right, thought
yeah.
freedom, right? Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what people fought the Revolutionary War for.
Yeah.
Was the ability to speak their mind,
Yeah.
the ability to throw off oppressors. In Greece, it was a whole other thing. My people on the island of Chios got their freedom from 400 plus years of Turkish slavery in 1913.
Oh, wow.
Only then to have war like 20 years later,
Uh-huh.
with the Italians and then the
Yeah.
Germans.
Oh, yeah.
And my grandfather was part of that, fighting two wars,
Okay.
and then retired to a farm life, growing
Uh-huh.
oranges and having coffee
Wow.
every day.
That's awesome.
And they'd say, Maria, make coffee. Or
Yeah.
this person came over, make coffee, make coffee. Now, if she had a fridge or a counter full of this product, I'm not
Uh-huh.
saying every time, but occasionally be like, all right, listen, I'm not making coffee today. Go drink this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because if something's good, then you wouldn't mind sharing it.
Right. And that's what inspired me to put my name behind it, my effort, my energy, um, because I would drink this product. I I tried black coffee, black canned coffee originally, and my thought process was, I can't believe people pay for this shit. It was just bitter. It tasted almost like the can. But then, when I tasted this product and they told me that this was an option for me to private label, then I was like, I'll drink this all day long so I can sell this. So now that we've stayed with the one SKU or the one product now for a few years, we've got a little bit of a customer base. We got a little bit of credibility built up. We here before long we have a black coffee that will be coming out with. I've tasted some samples, um, and it doesn't taste like the can. It tastes a whole lot smoother now. So we have just an option for a sugar free black coffee before long.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to be mindful of not just the packaging, because the packaging can scream buy me, but if
Hmm.
it don't taste right, you're not buying it again.
Yeah, that's what I found in person. Like I said, I would get people. We would sell individual cans, and they would buy a can just because it said "get shit done" on it. They loved that part of it, and I could watch the process. So you can, in today's world, you can do this a couple of different ways. You can pay pay for marketing through Meta, Facebook, Instagram to learn these things. And what, like Andy talks about this all the time, people don't have the skill set nowadays to go out and sell us in person because maybe they don't have the emotional intelligence to take rejection or to to take feedback in a non-emotional way. But watching people buy this in person just because it says "get shit done" and then watch their face and like, oh, this is really good. How much is the whole case? So it's a neat process to be a part of.
Absolutely. And then, so where do you see your company going this year, next year, and the future?
This year, I'd like to see it get to a six-figure revenue, um, and that can happen pretty easily. I've already seen, because up until October, September of 23, I never pushed any kind of paid marketing or media. It was all in-person sales, one to one, and some retailers. Uh, and so last year we started doing the paid marketing. But one of the things that showed me is that the tempo of sales, number one, the brand is really likable online. It's shareable online. So that tells me that our ad costs could be a little bit lower. Um, and we had another RTA member, Ari, fix up our website. We have so that it converts better. So it's just getting all these pieces put together, run some ads, figure out what the bottlenecks are, figure out what the good things are, and then just fix those things and keep improving as we go. And so we were on track basically to sell a pallet of coffee a month through online sales. And so as we get more efficient, as we learn what our audience likes better, as we feed everybody the cookies, so we can sell them some coffee to wash their cookies down.
Cookies and coffee. That's like a
Yeah.
winning combo.
Uh huh. Yeah.
Whether it's a biscotti or in Greece a kuluraki in America, like anything,
Yeah.
or a donut. It's like
My wife maybe some monster cookies for my birthday. So,
okay, all
whatever it
right,
is.
good. That's good. And speaking true to the hustle life, right? Not being afraid to take leaps, right? And
Yeah.
investing in product. Like, you've mentioned before that, on other shows that you have to buy a lot of product and then plan ahead for production,
Hmm.
so things don't go bad. And, as you grow further, you have to think of bigger problems and the next level of, where you want to produce. And, if you see your product going into new territories, new countries, like, do you see
Hmm.
that in the horizon?
Yeah. So a lot of that stuff was gifted to me in the form of problems and obstacles. So the people that can our coffee for us, they started out they had their own in-house brand that we borrowed or we private label the flavor. Um, but we started with them when they were about a year and a half old, and then at about that time, about 2 years, they built a new facility. They got some contracts to can coffee for household names. Everybody would know if I said the names, they would know what brands they're canning coffee for. So they went from a small building to this huge state of the art facility that can over 1 million cans of coffee or product a week. So they shut down their in-house product, and where the problem comes in is up until that point, that meant that they had ingredients on the shelf to make my product because they were using it also for their products. So it came to a point where they emailed me, and I emailed them to do another production run, and they're like, "Yeah, that's great. Here's the list. Go. You'll have to go order the products." I'm like, how do I do that? Who do I call? So then I start calling these people or start emailing, get the process going. And then the people that I'm trying to get ingredients from, the vendors, they're like, okay, well, which specific model number or item number do you need? I'm like, I have no idea. They didn't tell me. So I have to go back to the canning people and say, hey, what the hell, man? If you were to give me the stuff to go order, give me all the information, all the details. So, went through the process. And for me, I'm not college educated. I haven't done this kind of process, the CEO or CFO, whatever you want to call it, process. So just making a just to make a purchase order, I, I had to Google how to make a purchase order, how to watch it on YouTube, and download a form. So it was a really good process for me to go through to, like you're saying, understand, lead times and shipping times, production times, to where now the facility that makes our product, they obviously can ramp up. If I need 1 million cans, we could get in line to make 1 million cans of coffee. Along with that, also now I have the formula, so if we say the West Coast is blowing up, we're selling a lot of coffee out there, I can find a co-packer out there so that we can reduce shipping costs, across the country. We just make it, on the West Coast. So there's a lot of things, I guess, that I've learned along the way in the process.
Well, yeah, and then you're building this relationship, like you said, with a co-packer
Hmm.
who would be happy to distribute your product once they're bought in. That you take things serious, that your product's good, and that you're willing to do what it takes to make the investments to grow. Um,
Yeah.
and that level of responsiveness, honesty, and grit feeds into the hustle, right? So that the hustle doesn't just stay a hustle, but turns into a real business.
Yeah, yeah. It's not just words. I mean, like you said, we're live it.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And so tell me, like, when did you first drink your first cup of coffee? When do you remember, like, when you first tasted coffee and how you felt like when you had it?
Um, when I first drank it, it would have been years ago. It would have been just some generic Folgers or restaurant coffee. Um, but what I do remember that's vivid is the uh, the connection to the grinds and the K cups that we sell now. So I didn't send you any of these. We have our K cups, the pods, and grinds. So it was from a roaster here in Wichita, Kansas. Probably would have been about 10 years ago. The first time I started drinking coffee consistently because it was a really nice gourmet kind of bougie higher end roast. And I was like, oh, well, this coffee tastes really good. It's smooth. It's not don't have an aftertaste. It's not bitter. Um, and so what's really neat about that, come down 10 years later, I was at a networking event in Wichita, Kansas, and they one of the speakers didn't show up that day because it's the middle of COVID, and the people there knew me and asked me to come up and tell my coffee story. And so you have like 3 to 5 minutes just to kind of tell your story. So I did that real quick. And then somebody that was in the audience was the guy that owned the roaster, the local coffee shop that made that specific coffee that I was drinking. And so he came up to me afterwards because he wanted to learn more about the nitro, the cold brew canned coffee. And so we sat down a couple weeks later and we start talking. And both of us had invested in some equipment to start making the pods for the Keurig or the K cups, as they call them, because in his world of the bougie higher end gourmet coffee, K cups are looked down upon. But he said he had enough customers that were asking for them, but he was going to invest in the K cup process. So you have to, in order to do that and have a branded product, the minimums you have to buy 80,000 of the empty cups with a branded lid on it. And so we uh, we split that up. You can have 5 different SKUs, so 5 different roasts or flavors of your lids. So we split that up, and so he started packaging my K cups for me. And at the time, I the state told me that I had to have like a full kitchen setup in order to rebag the coffee. So up to that point, I was buying coffee in bulk, rebagging it, grinding it, and putting our label on it. So they said if I want to do that and sell it to a retailer, then I have to have this whole sanitation system set up. And so it just worked out perfect that I could brand his product, his grinds, the bags, the K cups, all of that. So we just transitioned from what I was doing right over to him, to where now it's been, I think, a couple of years now. Uh, he's had to reinvest because our brand of his coffee outsells his coffee on the K cups. So he had to upgrade to help us keep going without having to spend money for 80,000 cups of our own.
You took that leap of faith, knowing that you're gonna sell them,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
However you package them, however you promote them, like you're moving them, and that's how people drink coffee. If you go to most hotels, that's what you get.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's another distribution method for your product.
Yeah. Yeah. It's giving the people what they want, how they want it.
Mhm. And I
So
love your
it's,
stickers too. These stickers are cool. Because like I'm an '80s kid, so like you would see stickers in your cereal boxes and stuff,
yeah.
and they're motivational. Like, so tell me more about what it means. Like, go behind the motto: "Do it scared until you do it skilled." Like, where did you come
Yeah.
up with?
So I had from Home of the Hustle, I had a conversation with with one of our friends, followers from that page, and he's in the printing business, and he wanted to transition into another business, and he just told me, he just said, "Oh, I'm scared, man. I'm scared to take that leap." And so it's a frankism, kind of like to beat the streets. It was just, I was like, hell, man, do it scared, so you do it skilled. I mean, I've raced dirt bikes. I've done a lot of things, scared long enough, till I can do them skilled. And so it just kind of, I pay attention when people, when their reactions to some of the things I say, and I just noticed that stuck, and it fits. So that's why we put it on every can of coffee. And then, eventually people were like, "Well, can I get a sticker of that?" And then, yeah, and then people ask me, "Well, I'd love that quote on a T-shirt." So now we have some T-shirts on the website. So it's just trying to give people what they want, and how they want it.
But it's encouragement, right? Because I
Yeah.
think, like, in the era of social media, when there's a dichotomy, there's a split between what's real and authentic, and what looks insurmountable. Like, if
Hmm.
someone is perfect and you're like, "Oh, look how well I execute. Look how well you communicate." I'm like, this took effort, right?
Yeah.
Like, this can took effort, right? There's a lot of design, a lot of product, and a lot of research that went into this. It just didn't come up over an hour, right? So you put in that diligence, and at first you're scared because it may not work out, but
Hmm.
when it does, then you're like, let's raise this momentum, right? And you're still taking that leap of faith with some shaky foot, but now as
Yeah.
you keep walking, your footing gets more certain and
Right.
confident,
Yeah.
and
Just like a
you build
toddler.
strength. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like you crawl and you walk, and and then you start running.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate, and again, this one's really cool too. That this is you, right? I think it's very, very, very much like you, right? And I love that you're waving the American flag with a smile on your face, because like I said, this is a land of freedom, and the flag means a lot to people. And we
Yeah.
went to school. We said the Pledge of Allegiance. We stood up. We put the hand over the heart. People would take their hats off in stadiums. It means a lot,
Oh
especially
yeah.
for people. How they fought for the freedoms of this land, and expanded all across the country, right? Because when settlers first came to the colonies, it was just the first 13 colonies, and then they went out into the Midwest and the
Right.
farmlands and all across to California. And now, from the same respect, you're taking your product based on good values, good freedom, and hustle, go get it spirit. And you're not just selling a product just to enrich yourself, but you're inspiring people to get things done.
Yeah. And that's the basis of Make America Grind Again in my mindset. If we get back to that mentality from the early 1900s to 1950s, people were too busy trying to achieve and strive and get shit done to whine and complain about all the nonsense that we see nowadays. That it was the hustle. You knew this was the land of the free, the land of opportunity, and so you went out and tried to get it. And if we got back to that mentality of personal sovereignty, we're not victims. We're victors. We're winners. Just go out, get shit done.
Well, I really appreciate you are a hero in your own right, getting shit done on a daily basis. Um, Keep doing what you're doing and inspiring people. And what would you give as a piece of advice for somebody out there who wants to start their business, who wants to launch a product, and you know and is a little scared? How do you get them off the fence into action?
Take action and figure it out. It's the only validation that you really need is somebody willing to hand you money for your shit. Too many people wait to get everything in line, to get all the information. Um, when I started this, I had black and white stickers on a bag of coffee that I bought for retail. I didn't even have a business. I didn't have a plan. People asked me, they wanted it. I sold it to them, and then I figured it out. So, and that's the whole, do it scared till you do it skilled, whatever you want to say. It's just, take action, and then the next step will appear from from those results.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what people say. So don't show me your words, show me your action.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And
Exactly.
and and that, and then you literally are crushing it, right? As to go back to get Gary Vaynerchuk. Did you get to talk to him yet?
No, I haven't talked to him personally. Like we did the deal with the VaynerMedia.
I think by next year you'll probably be a guest on his show, and then they can go back to this show and say that it was predicted in 2024 that you were on Gary Vaynerchuk's show like this time next year. So
Yeah,
I'll
there's
put a bookmark in it for you because you definitely deserve it. You've worked it. You've earned it. You're rising up the ranks, and you're telling people that they have different choices in coffee that are more than acceptable.
yeah.
And I'm really happy about that because when I go to a gas station and I open the fridge, I'm like, I don't think I can drink that.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
So I
you know
look
right
forward to
away.
seeing your product in more and more shelves, and more gas stations and retailers. And I'll do what I can in Philly to kind of, raise awareness of your product so that it can. I say, hey, you don't have this product on your shelf? Why not?
Right.
you got
Yeah, I
you got
think
orders.
I think Eddie Alvarez is from Philly.
Oh yeah, all right,
Hmm.
cool. We'll have an event here, and we'll kick ass.
There we
But
go.
any closing words or lessons that you wanted to share as an entrepreneur who's 20 years in the journey?
Yeah. It's probably kind of like a deep philosophy or thought, but like you're not as good as you think you are, but you're greater than you can think. Um, Something that I've kind of the words that I put together is I learned a long time ago to try to understand who's thinking I'm thinking. And so we go back through generational patterns. The Bible talks about sin of the Father, sin of the Son, but it's these patterns that are passed down to us and through us, but we don't stop and ask ourselves, who's thinking am I thinking? Where did I get this idea that I can't do this? Where did I get this pattern that, in my marriage, my relationships, is this how I really feel? So really just take some time and figure out who in the hell you really are and what you want, um, to get clarity. And then once you get that clarity, then you can start asking better questions and you can get better, the divinity of everything starts just lining up. And it's just amazing how helpful God is when you start seeing, who you are, why you're here, and your purpose.
Wow, no, that's deep, and that actually kind of goes with the book that I've been reading, among other books,
Uh-huh.
from Marianne Williamson, the Law of Divine Compensation.
Okay. Yeah.
Right, right. Meaning like this energy that you put out, because we're consumers, right? But we're
Uh-huh.
also meant to be creators.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're
Well, it's
we're
the
created to do that.
yeah, and she's big into Course in Miracles, isn't she? Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, so it's I've learned a lot about that, just the reflections. You know, every interaction, you try to figure out if I'm here to answer their prayer or if I'm here to answer theirs, and just kind of figure out where what that interaction is.
Well, I really am very grateful for our interaction today. A
Likewise.
lot of pleasant takeaways. And how can people find you online and order your product?
Yeah. So to find us, it's homeofthehustle.com, is our website, or even more simple to remember is getshitdonecoffee.com. That'll forward over to Home of the Hustle, or Frank Sell, SELL, on social media.
Well, Frank, it's been really a lot of fun getting shit done with you today. I'm really inspired by your product, your story, and most importantly, your beliefs and values. So keep going forward, keep marching forward, and keep getting shit done.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother.